Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Meepolis, and this is Literally Graphic. And today I will be giving my initial thoughts on the first volume of Bone by Jeff Smith, out from Boneville. Perhaps oddly placed in the mainstream Monday, Bone certainly has a lot of indie cred, but now that it's been published by Scholastic for a number of years, it's very mainstream, which the mainstream should probably be very thankful for. Anyway, Jeff Smith was apparently born in McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania, then grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and generally he's seen as a Midwestern comic creator. Apparently his first post-college job was starting an animation studio called Character Builders Inc. with two friends. In 1991, Smith launched his company Cartoon Books to publish Bone. His wife, Vijaya, also deserves a lot of credit for Bone's success as she quit her job at a Silicon Valley startup to run the business side of Cartoon Books, leaving Smith to work on the creative side. He's also done some work for DC Comics, Fantagraphics Books, and worked on a series entitled RASL, among other things. Originally self-published bi-monthly with some interruptions and in black and white between 1991 and 2004, Bone won 10 Eisner Awards and 11 Harvey Awards. The entire series was eventually republished in color as part of Scholastic's launch of their graphics label, and was just picked up for an animated Netflix series, currently in production. While I seem to recall that Jeff Smith caught some flack from his independent comics peers for creating such an inoffensive comic, I can't seem to find any backup for this. Perhaps this drama was just a farce, perpetrated by my university professor. Either way, it does appear that he wasn't necessarily setting out to create a work so popular with children, as it is now generally accepted to be, with some exceptions. A few groups have tried to get it banned from libraries for smoking and gambling. The oddest thing that struck me during this reread was the depiction of Thorn, but we will dig into that more later. It was actually the 10th most contested / banned book back in 2013. Flipping this book over, positioned above the praise from the creator of The Simpsons, we find this book's synopsis. After being run out of Boneville, the three Bone cousins, Fone Bone, Phoney Bone, and Smiley Bone, are separated and lost in a vast uncharted desert. One by one, they find their ways into a deep forested valley filled with wonderful and terrifying creatures. Humor, mystery, and adventure are spun together in this action-packed, side-splitting saga. Everyone who has ever left home for the first time only to find that the world outside is strange and overwhelming will love Bone. The art, now in color, is really fun and engaging. The mixture of old and new, cartoony and more realistic, the way information trickles out through the different narratives, and the pretty classic hero's journey. It's all engaging, and not just for kids. Like Mona, both the slightly awkward romance situation. So yeah, digging into the female representation in Bone, it's just an initial impression, and I don't remember how things continued, but it's maybe 25% off. Mostly it's just Thorne's outfit during the attack of the rat people, where it looks like it's about to fall off at any moment. Of course, Grandma Ben's apron strings are perpetually hovering 6 inches above her shoulders, so physics doesn't seem to apply here. This threat of impending nudity just felt really out of place. Well, except for the part where she invites Fone Bone to take a bath with her, which was also a point where perhaps we note that Smith did not intend to be writing a kid's comic. Although that certainly doesn't stop a lot of kids' movies from adding in sexual innuendo that children generally don't get. I don't know. It just seemed like a thing worth noting. The entire inexplicable love at first sight thing for Fone Bone, eventually agreed to by Thorne, I suppose, is probably the thing that has aged the worst out of all things. I would have appreciated some explanation. Perhaps it is impending. Sexuality just equals heterosexual representation. Race, like in The Lord of the Rings, that Smith credits with inspiration, is a much more real thing than in real life. Bones, rat creatures, dragons, and humans to count a few. Almost everything in the valley talks, except perhaps the cows. Generally not a great idea. Class is one of the more endearing things that Bone touches on, as it mostly revolves around showing the richest Bone, Phoney Bone, to be a corrupt asshole who gets the rest of the bones into serious trouble. Ability versus disability does not appear to be a thing as far as I can tell. Bye y'all, keep reading and resist white supremacy. And as always, Literally Graphic is recorded on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation. I live here because of British colonization, Indigenous genocide, and more geographically specific, Treaty 13, also known as the Toronto Purchase, which was finalized in 1805 between representatives of the Crown and certain Mississauga peoples. This treaty was a lie and has since been broken many times over. Saying so reflects only my own small steps towards knowing the truth and does nothing for reconciliation.